We're just going to give it a minute. We'll get going in a moment. If you could put yourselves on mute for us, that'd be great, so we don't get any background noise. But please do put your cameras on. It's always nice to see people. No pressure, of course, but it's always nice to see instead of just names.
You've been shafted. Who shafted you?
Oh, nice.
If we made it on this one, we would have had 20 minutes. Mr. Window.
Mr. Window shafted you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if you'd have made it, you'd have had a 20-minute break.
Already. We've already had it.
I think someone's in detention. If you could put yourselves on
Before, didn't it? If it's 5-2, that would have been 20 minutes.
Afternoon, everyone. So I'm Mike Hart, Schools and Colleges Manager. I'm just going to give it a minute while we just let a few late people join in. Thank you for those guys. If you could mute yourselves, just so we don't get the background noise, especially if people are in detention. By the sounds of things, someone was in a bit of bother there, weren't they? Which is good fun, but feel free to put your cameras on. Always good to see you all. Still got a few people without mute on. I tell you what, I'll do it. I can see. I think, Mark, you might have to do it individually because you're host.
Okay.
Thanks, Gary. You've done it, and Tony's done it as well. That's great. Sounds like Mr. Window's been having some fun today with some kids. Brilliant. I think we'll look to get going, won't we? We're on record, everyone, as well. So look, massive thanks for everyone joining us. It's good to see some faces, some familiar faces. Thanks for sharing. Good to see you, H. A few others that I recognise there. But yeah, afternoon. I hope you had a good day at school, and appreciate you taking the time out to join us for the England Schools Tackle Height update. As I mentioned already, I'm Mike Hart, Schools and Colleges Manager. I'm also joined by Mark Saltmarsh, who's the National Player Pipeline Manager, who will be doing various bits of presentation updates, so you're not just bored with my dulcet tones as we go through. So to kick us off, what would be great is if you could use the chat for me. I've got a register of everyone's here. Actually, it would be great to know if you've seen the Tackle Height Hub already. If you know, yes or no in the chat for me. Have you seen the Tackle Height Hub? It was launched on. Thanks, John. It's great to see you nodding your head. If you could put it in the chat for me, that'd be good. Okay, cool. So there's a few people that have seen it. So it was launched on Friday. If you could put yourself on mute for me, please. Thanks, Fraj. That's great. Thanks, H.
It's a much more to the sprint, but not for the long distance. You should be like,
yeah, more he didn't do enough progressive stuff, did he?
Yeah, I was walking away thinking.
Mark, I think it's Steve Hill that's on. If you can. Please put yourselves on mute, guys, as you're joining. That would be helpful. Okay, so we've got a mix. It's good actually that some of you have seen it. That's fab. So you've obviously seen the CRM, which is helpful. Cool. Okay, so we'll crack on. So the intention for this afternoon is really just to keep you all updated as schools. We know we have different communication methods across the school program compared to direct access with our clubs. We're all on GMS and of course our members. So it's a way of keeping you updated in terms of what's happening with the law, the communication out there, the resources that are available. So that's the intention, to keep you updated. We'll hopefully be doing things all the way through the summer as well. So we want to make sure that the school sector is informed, up to date, and you've got access to all the relevant information, training packages that you need for yourself, but also for staff, academic staff, and people who are supporting volunteers, external people supporting the rugby programme. A little bit of housekeeping. We're going to go for half an hour. Thank you to those of you that have submitted questions already. We're hopeful. Well, I'm actually pretty certain we'll cover most of them off during the update, and then some other extra bits we'll pick off in the question answer, or we can take that offline for any further bits that we need. Okay, so I'm going to just share my screen, and then we'll kick off with a bit of an update and presentation. Okay, there we go. Brilliant. So the whole idea of, can you see that, Mark, by the way? Just double check. Yeah, great, thank you. So we're going to go through a little bit of background in terms of why and how, and then we'll jump into actually what has actually changed. We'll take you through the resources that will be available, that are available now, what else is to come through the summer months and as we lead into the start of the season, and then we'll cover off the question and answer in terms of what you what you submitted prior to the webinar. I'll hand over to Mark just to give a little bit of context in terms of actually where this has all come from, and then it'll probably lead into the updates.
Thanks, Mike. Evening, everyone. Just to add my thanks as well to Mike's for everyone who's joined us this evening at the end of a busy day. What we wanted to do just very briefly is sort of recap on the story so far. And as many of you will know, this has been a long process, 6 years, the last 6 years in earnest, and definitely before that as well. And basically that's been based on the research that we've had available, and in fact has become much more available in that time. So the research shows that the tackle is the high risk area in the game, and that where two heads are in the same space, that increases the risk of injury far more as well, and particularly of head injury as well. And we have had over the last 5 years a head injury impact group that's been looking at the implications of that as well. We agreed earlier this year to lower the tackle height in the community game. I think we've, oh, hold on. I can mute all, there we go, hold on. Hopefully that's muted. We agreed earlier this year to reduce the tackle height and have a lower tackle height in the community game, and also to look at both the role of the ball carrier and the tackler. And after the initial communications at the start of the year, we then conducted a large-scale consultation, discussion with the game, feelings on those changes, how we could best communicate those changes. And that's brought us to the point we're at now, which Mike will talk about a little bit more in a second. And that consultation included 8,500 people completed a survey. We had another 1,000 people that we talked to face-to-face in forums across the country. And then around sort of 270 people also joined some of the online forums, and some of you are on the call. So thank you to everyone who gave that feedback, because that, of course, gave us a brilliant basis on which to do what we want to do in the next bits, and the best way to do those. Along that time as well, you'll be aware, many of you, that World Rugby also instructed unions around the country to look at lowering the tackle height in the community game, and also some subsequent programs as well. And there's been some progress on that, to look at what might happen in the professional game as well. And a number of unions are already doing work or are now developing that work as a result, including all the home unions as well. And then 2 weeks ago, the law itself was agreed at the council meeting on the 21st of April. And now we've moved into an implementation phase for next season, in fact, from July the 1st onwards. So I'll hand back to Mike, who's going to talk through the specifics around that law moving ahead. Over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, thank you. Great. So what is actually changing, and what does it mean to you? So there's two law changes that have effectively happened. First of all, we're going to look at the responsibilities of the tackler. So current law is in black there, and then the new additions. The new additions are in red. So we're going to focus on those red bits, and of course it'll be brought to life by the visuals. Okay, so the new law is basically the tackle, the changes in the law around the tackle in open play. And now the new tackle height is below the base of the sternum. So we're trying to look for that tummy area or the thigh area. So if we read it out in torso, it's attempted to tackle an opponent in open play above the base of the sternum, even if the tackle starts below the base of the sternum. So any first contact has to be below the base of the sternum. If it rides up, we're still at risk of sanction or liable to being sanctioned. So that first contact has to be below the base of the sternum. This is just the tackle in open play. So there is no change to the maul, the ruck, or the line out. So I'll signpost you to other further law in wording and everything in a moment. The pick and go remains as part of the game. That's a key part of the fabric of the game and attracts certain players to the game as well. So as the science and the research showed us, that's low impact, low speeds. The ball carriers set pace already, so there's no law change to that. It's literally just the tackle or the attempt of a tackle in open play. The two-player tackle remains as well. We admit and we're quite clear that actually that will look different. The only law wording that you'll need to be aware of is that the second player will have to adhere to 9.13 as well. So as the second player arrives, their first contact will also have to be below the base of the sternum. Okay, the rip tackle also quite clear and a big part of the school game, especially lower down. The rip tackle can continue, and that's risk and reward. So of course, players will come in and grab, as long as that first contact is around the belly area, targeting the ball. We can then go for a contest for the ball, so that will align to the rip and the grab tackle as well. Okay, the key wording around the law is actually as long as we're taking two heads out the same airspace. So the head of the ball carrier and the head of the tackler. So it's just that hinge at the hip that we're changing behaviours. As you can see, the picture is there. And as I go further on, I'll signpost you to more resource and details as we go through. The second change is what we've started to implement is the responsibility for the ball carrier. So 9.11a, I know some of you who might not be clear in law, or some of you might love law, that's always been in there. So there's always been a law around the ball carrier having a duty of care for the tackler, not aiming to be reckless or dangerous, but what we've added in is that actually the ball carrier has a duty of care around not lowering their height significantly before making contact with an opponent. So the terminology that referees will be looking for is late and low. So you have a look at the picture. It's quite clear there. What we're trying to do is actually take that head-to-head contact away from the collision. Hence why we brought the ball carrier law in. So the picture that the referee will want to see is as long as shoulders are above hips. As you can see, we go green, green, red into that shape. As long as there's a green zone that's been offered to the tackler and our shoulders are above hips. Okay, we can still brace for contact. So we're still coaching shoulder contact, bracing for contact, losing your neck, big power step. There's some guidance on which I'll take you through in a moment. But actually, we can't dip late and we can't have our shoulders below hips, which we wouldn't want to be coaching across age grade rugby anyway. So those are probably the key areas there. Some of you might be talking about significant. So actually the law there actually says what does significantly mean, but actually the picture the referee will be looking at there is late and low, and actually as long as our shoulders are above hips. I'm not sure if there's anything in the chat, but we can pick it up in a moment. So there's the two changes for us. To enable to support you as you go through the summer months, we now have a tackle height roadmap. So this is here to support you over the next few months to see what's coming through. This will be broken down into inform, observe, and then engage. And then, of course, we have a blended approach for that engage piece of both virtual and in-person, face-to-face opportunities. So the information at the moment, we're in that inform stage at the moment where communication has gone out, videos and graphics are online. We're running this webinar to keep you all informed with that. So a lot of you, by the sounds of things, by the chat, haven't seen the comms that came out on the 28th. So here we are outlining what's come through and what's available for you. There'll then be lots of opportunities for you to observe and get involved in some online quiz, especially around the ball carrier and the tackler and different bits there. And then there'll be some referee opportunities for you. Throughout the season, then we can various opportunities to dip in and dip out into some virtual opportunities, and then we'll have some face-to-face summer training for you, which Mark will take you into more detail in a moment. So I'm not going to go into every detail on the roadmap. Where that can be found is our Tackle Height Hub, which is now live on englandrugby.com. We will make sure that the link is in the chat, but actually everyone who signed up will also make sure that the link's sent out to you as well. So the Tackle Height Hub now is live. We can jump on that. The roadmap is involved in there, and this will be your one-stop shop to everything needed around the law change. So in there, of course, I've just mentioned already that the roadmap's in there. There's also some accompanying videos around the background and why we came to this decision. There'll be videos added on to support the infographics. So there's pictures I showed you. They're there and free to download for you to be able to use across the school college environment. So there's the ball carrier and the tackler videos. And then something I'll probably point out, there's something really good called the Law Information Pack. That's some great information there, and then some key coaching points around both ball carrier and tackler, putting both a coaching and a referee context for you. Those key referees, there's also the application of law in there and the new sanctions framework that you'll be able to pick up in terms of actually what does libel mean and actually what is the framework and the mitigating circumstances referees will go through if a tackle is above the base of the sternum. Okay, Mark, I'll hand over to you. Okay.
Thanks, Mike. I've just seen in the chat, Sean, you've asked about the slides. The diagrams that Mike has just shown are all on the hub. So the hub is your one-stop shop for all that information. And what we've also done is we're arranging for hard copy posters of those two tackler and ball carrier images to be sent out to all rugby playing schools as well as obviously having that online. So please do use the hub for that, and that will give you loads of stuff that you can, as Mike says, you can use with your own workforce and players and parents as well. So the summer framework, we've also, as part of this, looked at what can be done in the summer. So you're able to look at bridging that gap between this season and next season. Really pleased to confirm that this now is the permanent replacement of regulation. We've had 2 good years where we've had a lot of insight and information has come back from right across schools, colleges and universities about having this guide rather than what was the old regulations. Really good response about the simplicity and clarity of it. So what we've done this season is actually change the regulation. So going forwards, each summer there will be the guide like this. It won't vary very much between years, along with the overview as well. And when in fact, I can press send now. All the guide information is actually on the web page as well, which the link is in the chat for you. So you play and train to the guide as per last year and the year before. We've also been able, which is even better news, earlier than ever in history, as far as I'm concerned, we are able to confirm regulations for next season as well for 23-24. You're usually waiting till very near the end of the summer term from a school's perspective and college perspective. We've actually confirmed those now, and there is a document also on that summer activity page that you've got there, which tells you about changes to regulation next year. Most of them are tweaks, apart from things like the summer activity guide being replaced instead of the old regulations. So this is the programme for the 4 months of May, June, July, August. And just to confirm, we've had some questions, I think, before the session about delaying the start to next season. There are no plans to delay the start to the season at this point. So it will start on the 2nd of September as per regulation. Clearly, if anything changes during the summer, then as we did in COVID, we would look at that. But as far as we're concerned, the new season will start, the playing season will start on the 2nd of September. So the guide now runs from now until then. Okay. Moving on to the next one, Mike.
Yeah.
And as per last year as well, to support you, and Mike talks about the face-to-face element of training through the summer, we've got a very similar training program to last year, which you supported really well. Although we know we definitely didn't reach all teachers who are delivering rugby across rugby playing and developing rugby schools. So we have a program again of 40 introduction to contact courses to help those teachers who will be obviously introducing new tackle techniques, etc. So would really urge you to get your staff and yourselves onto those again. It's a face-to-face opportunity to look at these things we're talking about, actually hands-on as well. And in addition to that, we've got 4 Women in Rugby PE conferences as well, which are specifically for female staff. We're encouraging each member of staff who comes along to bring a couple of girls from their leadership programs in school or college as well. And those will be specifically about the growth of the women's game. But we will, again, have a section in that, a specific section around tackle height changes as well. So those are specifically for the education sector, where we know access to training during term time is more difficult. But your feedback over the years that doing things in that summer, second half of the summer term is a better period is what we're doing as well. So So a real opportunity there. And as I say, we'd really encourage you to come along, get your staff to come along as well. Sign-ups are through the links, and those have been sent out a couple of times already from Mark Lowe and England Schools. We'll make sure those links go to everyone, as Mike says, on the back of this webinar again as well. Sign-up is through the game management system, as it was last year, and it does add that CPD course to someone's profile as well. So that tracking of your training as a rugby coach or referee goes through there as well. And I should have said actually that those courses are not only coaching courses, they talk about the refereeing of those contact and tackle situations as well. So really handy for teachers working with the game. Back to you, Mike.
Cool. Thanks, Mark. So, jumped on, far too excited. Okay, so that's what's coming up in the summer. That's planned already. That's in place. What else will there be to come? So again, remember, keep in touch with the Tackle Height hub. That'll be the one-stop shop where everything gets updated live and continues. There'll also be a series of tackle clinics. So there'll be 240 of those. They're just in the final process of being finalised in terms of venues. They'll be done on a cluster approach, delivered by the coach development team, the coach developers. There'll be a blend of indoor and outdoor, with an opportunity to get groups of people together and actually have a look at the law, how it looks like, how it looks in practice. So there'll be some tackle clinics for you. So 240, as you see nationally, will hopefully cover. Well, we know for a fact it will cover the game. Tackle champions, again, look out for this. We really need. We would love to support some support from the school sector with this. This will be a volunteer role where we'll be looking at people who really want to champion this and help locally, other areas of the community around them, so schools, colleges, clubs. So when that link comes to sign up, please do get involved with that. We'd love to have some school involvement supporting there. There'll be a live stream event later in the summer, and that'll be delivered through our player pathway team and the performance side. So John Pendlebury, James Cooper, with the girls, of course, Mark Mapletoft, they're advocates of that low body tackle already. So we'll be doing a live stream event, very similar to what you would have seen when we did the Eddie Jones Facebook Live sessions. There will be videos which are just in the final process of being landed onto the hub. They'll support the infographics with the pictures as well. So we've got that blended learning approach. Some people will like the pictures. Some people will probably potentially like videos and more details. And then to accompany that, as well as the live webinars and sessions that we'll do with yourself throughout the summer, there'll be direct podcasts and webinars delivered by the coach development team for further information directly involving the tackle height information. Okay, so lots to come. There's lots already and some nice bedtime reading already on the hub, but lots to come as well over May, June, July. So we're really keen to make sure that players are ready and we're tackle ready for September when players are back. Okay, I think that pretty much covers it. The last few minutes was really just around question and answer. So thanks to those who submitted things. I'm pretty sure we've covered most of them. There was lots around. I'm going to pick up some bits now on referee training. Mark's picked up the bit about transition to the season and the delay. There's no plans, of course, but we do expect a bit of a bedding in period. So coming on to the referee training, there's been lots of questions around that. So the match official development team are on with that at the moment. They have their own roadmap around upskilling and the training of current referees and new referees. That'll be open access to everyone. So people will be able to jump onto that. There'll be a blended approach of online and face-to-face, and it'll be rolled out very similar to how normal DLV laws are, domestic law variations. So when the line out changed with lifting, when the engagement sequence changed for scrum, it'll very much be delivered on that line. So the match official team are all over it. We know this will be a key part of it. There'll be lots of guidance out there for referees, and that'll be open up to yourselves, schools and colleges, to be able to jump on and get involved with that as well. A key messaging that I have been talking about is that they are pushing empathy and materiality within the game, especially around that bedding in period in the first and the early start of the season. So we know the wording there, liable to sanction, but maybe those first few weeks there is, local discussions with yourselves on the standard of players and how well you know each other on the circuit. Actually have that early conversation with the referee. Okay, there may be a flurry, might be warnings and chats with people, depending on the level and the age group, age and stage, isn't it? But actually, it's working collaboratively with each other, having that early dialogue with the referees that you've got, and just having empathy for the game. And hopefully we'll have a safer, faster, more enjoyable game as well, which comes out really highly on World Rugby's research of the teens of today. Mark, anything, something came up on, sorry, you're busy wait typing out. Something came up on sanctions. I wasn't sure if you wanted to, I can pick it up if you like, unless you wanted to.
Go for it, Mike. You go for it.
Okay, cool. There's lots of questions. No, it's okay. Lots of questions around. Sorry, you're typing. Lots of questions around sanctions and how that will be done. If you want any more information on that, some of you will love this. So the full sanction framework is on the hub now. So the law guidance, the application of law, and the sanctions framework are all on the hub. So enjoy having a read of that. It follows very much the same guidelines as the head injury process at this moment in time. So it'll give some checklists and some questions for referees to go through on what the mitigating factors are, very similar to how it's currently monitored at the moment across the game. And then finally, we had a few bits around monitoring and evaluation. And so thanks for those questions. Really important point. We are working with World Rugby on that. So as you know, we're not the only union delivering this. France are already doing it. New Zealand have announced and have started it. Scotland are going into a phase, and we're expecting a few more to follow. Of course, World Rugby have heavily advised home unions to put something in place. So we're working on them around that. We will also have the National Rugby Survey, which will push out, and our key method will be around CRISP. So it's a I know Mark wants to mention something about it, sorry, but it's a key message from me to you really, and a call to action that actually please get involved in CRISP. We want more schools involved. We have a few already. Some of them might be at the higher end of the programme, but actually we'd love all different levels of schools and colleges involved in CRISP, which is our Community Rugby Injury Surveillance Programme. So please jump on. It is a bit heavy going to start with, sign up and getting the details sorted. But it's for the care of the players, but actually it's literally 10 minutes of reporting per game. So the more people involved, the more data we get, the more advice we can pass out, and actually more involvements we could do across the game. That was it really in terms of some of the key questions. I think, Mark, you've covered everything in the chat, haven't you?
I think so, Mike. Yeah, there were a few questions in there. Thanks for those, everyone. But yeah, I think we've covered those as well.
Yeah, Lee. Yes, as you mentioned that for Lee. Yes, so diving. If you have a look at the law, Lee. Yeah, diving for a score. That's allowed to be played. That's allowed. So the tackle height doesn't go into action there when you dive into score. That's it from me, Mark. I'm not sure if you wanted to.
Thanks, Mike.
Last little.
Just thanks, Mike, for your time. Thanks for those questions, everyone. There may be more questions, but and Mike has already said, what we'd really encourage you to do is engage with the hub. What we've deliberately done is try to put as much information as possible on there to start with, and that will build over time. The reason, just to remind you, the reason we've done this session is because we know often, and we're doing sessions for schools, colleges and universities, that often the education sector, because it's not, we haven't got the same channels into it as we do into the club game, doesn't get information, doesn't see the information, it doesn't get passed on, etc. But we also know, and this is the plea to you all, we also know it doesn't get read sometimes, that emails, information gets ignored. We're really keen and would really plea with you. Anything that comes through, keep a lookout for it, and please do open, read and share it. That hub is going to be really helpful for you guys, for those who are working with you in your schools. If you've got parents to engage, players to engage, there's a lot on there. So please do engage with it, share it, use it. You don't need to guess anymore. All the stuff that you need is on there. If there are common questions that keep coming back to us, we'll make sure we get the answers, and that goes on there as well. So please do continue to engage with that hub and use it. And as we said, the link's in the chat, but also we'll make sure that everyone who's been on the call and who registered for the call gets the hub address as well. What I would say, though, of course, is that for many of us in the age grade game, in schools, colleges and clubs, we've been living this probably more than the adult game anyway. One, because we're used to the stepping stones and the change or addition to the rules each year from under 7 right up to under 16 because of including and developing the line out. You've been living it very much in our rugby playing schools because of the challenge from parents and trying to answer that and talking about safety and how we can make the game safer. And also, when we introduce tackling, we do it in a certain way right across the game anyway. So we shouldn't have too many fears about this because we've been really good at doing it anyway. Yes, it's different and we absolutely acknowledge that, but keep doing the things you do well about introducing young people to contact, to tackling, and the refreshers that you give them every single season. Those are just as important as they ever were. And that principle hasn't changed massively. So please do continue to do that. And support each other as well. We know many of you are not only coaches, you're referees as well regularly. And Mike talked about how referees will look to think carefully about penalising and sanction early on. Well, they're also learning this as well. Let's not forget that as well. Anyone who's refereeing is learning the new tackle height as well, and we want the whole game to support them just as they will try and support players and coaches as well. So it's a real whole game piece, this, and trying to get everyone to work together, to take hold of the information, to use it, to share it, and make sure everyone's aware is a really important part as well. And I just finished by saying that roadmap is genuinely what we want to do. We want to give you information. We want to engage with you. We'll look at another one of these probably in a month's time. And in that one, we'll try and make it more interactive. What are some of the successes you've had, the challenges you might have found or thought of in advance of September? How can we share some of those and find some answers for you as well? So please do continue to engage, but just to emphasize that stuff on the hub is really going to help you out. So anything you can do to get hold of that, to have a look at it and share it would be brilliant. Mike, back to you.
I think that's everything. It's just, I think we've covered it. We've done our half an hour, haven't we, and everything. Thanks for everyone's time, as Mark's mentioned already. I think Mark's nailed it there, hasn't he, with that wrap up. Just so over to you guys. Look, thank you for everything you do across the game. Hopefully it'll be I know for a fact it'll be a benefit, having been involved in the evaluations and seeing the results through that. So just a massive thanks for your time. Appreciate some of you been teaching all day and you jumped onto this. So have a look at the hub. Keep in touch with each other, keep in touch with us, and we'll continue some communication all the way through the summer months. Okay, enjoy your evening. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.